इतिहास गवाह, इतिहास गवाह ऐसे लोगों की जिनकी फितरत छुपी रहे। इतिहास गवाह ऐसे लोगों की जिनकी फितरत छुपी रहे। कटनी करनी अलग रहे, काली करतूतें छुपी रहे। इतिहास गवाह ऐसे लोगों की जिनकी फितरत छुपी रहे। कटनी करनी अलग रहे, काली करतूतें छुपी रहे। अपने ही जब जाल बिछाए, कैसे दुश्मन की जांच करे। दिल की तारीख पहचाने, ढोंगी का पर्दाफाश करे। हर पल रंग बदल कर आए, कैसे उनकी पहचान करे। गैरों के दामन से लिपटे, अपनों का अपमान करे। क्रांतिवीर सा चेहरा लेकर असली सूरत छुपी रहे। कटनी करनी अलग रहे, काली करतूतें छुपी रहे। जमींदारी का तमगा लेकर जाल बिछाए बातों का। वफा निभाकर अंग्रेजों से किला तोड़ दिया झांसी का। हिंदी है हम, भाई हैं हम, जाल बिछाया बातों का। देश प्रेम का यकीन दिलाकर दुर्ग जीत लिया दिल्ली का। झूठे जयकारे लब पर सत्ता की हसरत छुपी रहे। कटनी करनी अलग रहे, काली करतूतें छुपी रहे। जिनके कर्मों के चलते हर शख्स सदर के सामने सत्ता सौदा दूर करे, बैठते उन्हीं सभाओं में।
Namaskar, Salam, Sat Sri Akal, and a very good morning. Again, welcome you to Sporting Angels Educational Spectrum. This is आज़ादी की कहानी एंजल्स की जुबानी पार्ट 6 and the आज़ादी की कहानी एंजल्स की जुबानी is being presented by Sporting Angels Educational Spectrum and AMG Bhakti. So in the 5th part we discussed about the revolution of 1857. We discussed about the causes. We discussed about how it spread. We also discussed about the main events, the main centers, how it failed, and what were the impacts thereafter. See, even after 1857, there were some rebellions, like the Wahhabis. The Wahhabis continued revolt under Sayyid Ahmad bravely after 1857 till well in 70s, that was 1870s. And after that there was a religious education center for Muslims at Devband near Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh in the very state. it is not far from the place Agra where we are doing Azadi ki kahani, Angels ki Zubani. This center was also continuously, it had feelings of patriotism, hostility against the British rule, and it continued. Then, of course, how can you forget the Kuka movement? The followers of Guru Ram Singh, the Sikhs, they continued, and finally it was suppressed in 1872. The Britishers suppressed the revolt. They executed many Kukas, and some of them were blown up. And after this, there was Rampa rebellion in Andhra Pradesh in 1880, and then again in 1886. And then, of course, how can you forget the Birsas, the Birsa Munda? In 1890s, the Munda revolt was suppressed. In 1900, Birsa was captured. He was put into jail where he died. And then, of course, in Maharashtra, there was Vasudev Balwant Phadke leading the movement. This way, there was discontent. There was never a time in the Indian history under the British rule when the Indians were contented. Slowly and steadily, there was formation of political associations, and then, of course, there was rise of the Indian nationalism for many reasons. So, in this part, basically, we shall be covering up the rise of Indian nationalism.
सर पहले ये बताइए नेशनलिज्म क्या होता है?
पहले ये बताएं कि नेशनलिज्म क्या होता है. See, nationalism.
Sir, permit me to define nationalism.
Okay, she is going to define nationalism.
Nationalism is defined as a feeling of loyalty, belongingness, and oneness towards the one's nation, as well as
It is the feeling of loyalty, oneness,
and belongingness
and belongingness towards
one's nation,
right?
as well as being bound by a common past, economy, or culture.
It is all about being tied, being bonded together by a common past, by a common economy.
Yes.
That is what.
Yes, sir. Nationalism means patriotism or devotion to the nation.
Yes, it is certainly nationalism is devotion towards one's nation, right? Yes, she has rightly explained. See, the definition is exactly this, right? And having been familiar with the definition of nationalism, now I would like you to note down the reasons for the nationalism, for the rise of nationalism in India. See, nationalism was rising in all the parts of the world, be it Europe, be it America. It came a bit late in India, right? And the main reasons for the rise of nationalism in India were definitely politically we are uniting, because the administration, it gave us a unification. It for the first time after Chandragupta and Ashoka's, again we were bound as one India. This, this again became a very important region. This unification, this administrative unification of India became a very important region, right? And then, of course, the economic exploitation done by the Britishers, right? See, socio-religious reform movement was also a reason for the growth of nationalism in India. And not to forget the education system. The Western education, see, before this, we had Gurukuls, we had madrasas. Our education was something else. We were being taught about our past, that was okay, but we were not familiar with what was going on in the rest of the world. This came with the Western education. And when the Indians got Western education, it was natural that the influence got us unified. Then the role of newspapers, magazines, the journals, see, all that literature, right? It influenced us a lot. And the repressive policies of especially Lord Lytton, and of course, last nail was the Ilbert Bill controversy. All these reasons you know, right? You know about the political and administrative unification of India, how it helped. Any one of you want to speak about it?
57 ईस्वी के रिवॉल्ट के फेलियर का एक यह भी कारण रहा होगा कि पूरे देश के भाग न लेने के कारण वह असफल हो गया।
जी हाँ सर।
हाँ, ये भी एक कारण था।
जी हाँ सर, भारत में आर्थिक तथा प्रशासनिक एकीकरण भी एक मुख्य कारण रहा होगा।
हाँ, ये जो प्रशासनिक एकीकरण हुआ उससे निश्चित रूप से लोगों को आसानी हुई, ये भी एक बहुत बड़ा कारण था। आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
Yes sir, political and administrative unification of India. Yes sir, modern means of transport enable the people to move.
हाँ, transport, communication, it made very easy for the people. Yes, yes,
to
exactly.
move one place to another,
हाँ.
to meet people.
Yes,
with each
yes.
other.
And it was a great help in unifying the people and thereby planning and having their plans executed further. Exactly.
सर मुझे यह भी लगता है कि पाश्चात्य शिक्षा तथा चिंतन का विस्तार यह भी इसका मुख्य कारण रहा होगा और विभिन्न वर्गों में अंग्रेजों के एक्सप्लॉयटेशन के कारण भारतीयों की बड़ी शिकायतें रही होंगी।
हाँ बिल्कुल, पाश्चात्य एजुकेशन, देखिए मैं थोड़ी देर पहले आपसे कह ही रहा था कि पहले मदरसे गुरुकुल शिक्षा थी, लेकिन हम अपने बारे में पढ़ रहे थे। हम निश्चित रूप से भारत ने काफ़ी कर रखा था गुरुकुल्स में, लेकिन वर्ल्ड में क्या हो रहा था उस समय, करंट में क्या हो रहा था, इस बात से अनभिज्ञ थे। लेकिन निश्चित रूप से जब पाश्चात्य संस्कृति के यहाँ आने से, वो वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन के यहाँ आने से भारत जुड़ गया, और क्योंकि यूरोप में खासकर अमेरिका एक राष्ट्रीय भावना आ चुकी थी, तो हम लोग अछूते कैसे रहते। आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा।
Yes sir, economic exploitation was the biggest cause for the nationalism in India.
Yes, it was. It was.
Yes, sir. Socio-religious reform movement was one of the biggest reform. Sir, the 19th century saw a series of reform movements. The reformers like Sarojini Naidu, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, Swami Vivekanand taught people to be brave and bold.
Yes, yes. They were definitely the binding force of the Indian society, and they were, of course, the this was also the main reason why we united as a nation.
जी हाँ
Yes.
सर, इसके मुख्य कारण और प्रिंटिंग प्रेस की शुरुआत, धर्म समाज सुधार आंदोलन में राजा राम मोहन रॉय,
प्रिंटिंग प्रेस की शुरुआत हो जाना, और ऑफ कोर्स राजा राम मोहन राय, दयानंद सरस्वती, स्वामी विवेकानंद,
डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर,
अंबेडकर साहब,
महात्मा-
फुले दंपति,
इन सभी सुधारकों ने भारत को जोड़ने का प्रयास किया।
निश्चित रूप से इन सब ने भारत को जोड़ा है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं।
Western education influenced a lot the works of Locke, Mills, Spencer and Voltaire.
लोके साहब पढ़ने को मिले, वोल्टेयर साहब पढ़ने को मिले, स्पेंसर साहब के विचार पढ़े लोगों ने, तो फिर नेशनल फीलिंग तो आनी ही थी ना।
They drew inspiration from the American War of Independence, the French Revolution and the events of the wars of Italian unification.
Yes, yes. The Italian unification, people came to know about it. Of course, the American War of Independence.
Many of the young men went to Europe for their higher education. When they reached to India, they worked for the freedom and independence for their motherland.
Exactly, exactly. When they came back, they thought it was their duty to unite India and to fight for the independence and unification of India as a nation. Exactly.
And sir, role of newspapers, journals and national literature. Bal Gangadhar Tilak in Kesari, Bhartendu Harishchandra, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Mahadevi Verma and Munshi Premchand.
Yes, yes. Definitely it was a great thing that people read about the outstanding work by these people and they were inspired by them. They united as a nation.
So repressive policy of Lord Lytton was also the cause for the nationalism in India.
Repressive policies of Lord Lytton, of course. When he came as a Viceroy of India from 1876.
To 1880.
Okay, and before we proceed further, do you know one thing? That before the revolution of 1857, they were all known as
Viceroy.
the Governor Generals, and after 1857, they were known as Viceroys. Viceroy means the direct representative of the king or queen, right? So the person had nothing to do with the company. Okay, when Lytton came as Viceroy in 1876 for the next 4 years,
In 1877, he reduced the maximum age limits for
as soon as he came after 1 year, he reduced the age limit from
civil services examination.
of the civil services examination from 21 to
19.
19. It was a significant development. See, the youngsters could participate in the examination, they could become officers, and when one prepares for this standard of examination, one is highly educated, and these persons, of course, were inspired by what was going on in the world at that point of time.
Since lesser Indian youths could now appear to these examinations, and there are two acts, Vernacular Press Act and Arms Act.
And then apart from this, of course, the Vernacular Acts and the Arms Act,
which came into 1878.
they also were a big impact on uniting people and the feelings of the people for the national movement arose, and thereby we started the national movement, the rise of the Indian nationalism. Okay, shall we do one thing? For you to note down, we will give you a table. Please take out your pen and the notebooks so that she gives you a chart, and please note down.
Causes of the growth of nationalism. First, political and administrative unification of India. Economic exploitation of India. socio-religious reform movements, influence of Western education, role of newspapers, journals, and national literature, repressive policies of Lord Lytton, Ilbert Bill controversy.
See, having discussed the causes of the rise of nationalism in India, we now need to cast an eye on the small associations that grew before the Congress was founded in 1885. All these political associations, they are considered to be the root cause of the establishment of Congress later on. In East India, an association called East India Association was founded in 1866. It was founded by Dadabhai Naroji, and it was basically to discuss the British policies, to arise opinion, to promote the welfare of Indian people. Those were the basic, and of course the poverty of Indians, the loot by the Britishers, all these were to be discussed by East India Association of Dadabhai Naroji, right? And then after 10 years, in 1876, the Indian Association of Calcutta was founded. Okay, and the aims of founding this were basically educating the people about the political programs, and it was also for creating an opinion on the political questions facing the country, right? It was led by Surendranath Banerjee and Anand Mohan Bose. Then again, the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, it was set up in 1870, and this was again established by a retired Justice Ranade. And of course, then the Madras Mahajan Sabha in 1884, it was established by G. Subramaniam Iyer, and then the Madras Native Association was founded by Gujulu. Okay, and of course Chetty, Anand Charlu, and some others. Then Bombay Presidency was formed in 1885, just before the Congress. Okay, and it was formed by Firoz Shah Mehta, K. Talang, and Badruddin Tayyabji. All these associations had 2-3 things in common, and this led to the foundation of the Indian National Congress in 1885. On 28th December 1885, this session was held. It was presided by W.C. Banerjee, and thus it was attended by lawyers, almost from all over the country, by some industrialists, teachers, traders, almost everybody, landlords, you name them, and almost from every section of the society, people were there. And of course, girls should be happy that in the first session itself, the first graduate from the Calcutta University, who was it? Kadambani Ganguly also participated in it. So this was and the session was addressed by her later in 1890, right? So this way it was formed, Now the platform was set for the national movement to go forward. See, when we talk about national movement, we should study it in three phases. We can broadly divide the national movement in three phases. Do one thing. You may note down. Please take out your pen and notebook so that you can note down the important things. Right? I'll give you as well as the main associations. Okay?
The Indian national movement can be divided into three phases: moderate phase, radical phase, and Gandhian phase. Growth of political associations. The growing discontent against British rule expressed itself in the teeming political organizations during the period. Dadabhai Naoroji established the East India Association in London in 1866 to discuss the Indian questions and influence British public to promote welfare of India. India's first economic thinker, Naoroji, showed that the basic cause of India's poverty lay in the British exploitation of India and the drain of its wealth. The Indian Association of Calcutta, founded in July 1876, set before itself the aims of creating strong public opinion on political questions facing the country and educating the people about a common political program. It was led by Surendra Banerjee and Anand Mohan Bose. The Pune Sarvajanik Sabha was set up in 1870 by Justice Ranade. The Madras Mahajan Sabha was established in 1884 by G. Subramania Iyer. The Madras Native Association was founded by Gazulu Lakshminarayanan.
ये था आज़ादी की कहानी एंजल्स की ज़ुबानी भाग 6। आपको कैसा लगा हमें अपनी राय ज़रूर दीजिएगा। हमसे जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।